This is Measuring Water Quality Parameters lecture for ENR4345 Methods in Aquatic Ecology course at The Ohio State University. The instrument that we will be using in this class is the Pro-DSS Water Quality Sonde that is made by Yellow Springs Instrument, also known as YSI. This particular instrument measures temperature, dissolved oxygen, specific conductivity, pH, and turbidity. In this photo, you can see the instrument sitting in its black carrying case. It has a handset, a cable, and the probes are within this protective cage or guard. You can also see the blue cup, which is pictured separately in this photo, but should be kept on the instrument when it is not in use in order to keep the probes moist. I'm going to go over some quick tips that I would like everyone to use with the YSI Sonde. These help keep the instrument in good condition so that everyone is able to use it for your courses or projects. First of all, do not remove the black guard from the instrument when you are using it. This guard helps protect the sensitive probes from damage when they're in use, and it should only be removed for maintenance purposes. However, you will have to remove the blue cup before using the probes. To do this, you want to twist the black O-ring at the top of the blue cup to loosen it, and then you can slide both the blue cup and the black O-ring off of the instrument. Just be careful, the black guard also has a twist-off connection here, and you don't want to accidentally remove both of them. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the purpose of the blue cup is to keep the probes moist when not in use. That means there needs to be humidity within this cup. Therefore, I recommend that you add about 1 inch of stream water into the blue cup between sampling sites. And then when we get back to the lab, you can rinse the sonde in the blue cup with tap water and then store it with about 1 inch of tap water, and we'll make sure that that O-ring is sealed tight. Don't worry if this seems a bit confusing. I think it's a lot easier to understand when the instrument is in front of you. Finally, I want to note that deionized water cannot be used with this instrument as it will ruin some of the probes, so we want to make sure we only use tap or stream water. In the next few slides, I'm going to quickly go over each parameter that the YSI Sonde will collect, as well as why each is important. The first is temperature, which will be collected in degrees Celsius. As you already know, temperature has a range of effects on the ecosystem. This includes physical effects, such as whether it is cold enough to form ice, as well as biological effects, such as when a certain temperature can trigger emergence of seasonal animals or reproduction. I chose this photo of Watkins Glen State Park in New York as an example of a stream that might have variable temperature. In the front of the photo, the stream looks shallow and in the sun. However, in the back, there's a deep hole that looks like it could be in the shade. We could use the YSI to measure any temperature differences between these two locations. The next parameter I want to talk about is dissolved oxygen. And the YSI Sonde collects this parameter both in milligrams per liter and as a percentage. It is important because oxygen is needed for many biogeochemical processes as well as for a lot of aquatic life to survive. Colder water can saturate more oxygen than warmer waters can. On the left of this slide, I have a photo of a body of water off of the coast of Louisiana that often experiences low dissolved oxygen, also known as hypoxia, or no dissolved oxygen in the water, which is called anoxia. This image shows a dead zone where the dissolved oxygen levels are too low for many organisms to survive. When microbes in the water are decomposing dead organisms, they use up a lot of oxygen. One reason dead zones can occur is when there is an algal bloom, and when the algae dies, it starts to be decomposed, which uses up a lot of the oxygen. Next, I want to talk about specific conductivity, which is measured with the units microsiemens per centimeter. Specific conductivity is measuring the water's ability to conduct an electric current, which is caused by dissolved ions in the water. Distilled water has no conductivity, but in streams, the conductivity is influenced by minerals and salts that are dissolved in the water. This is important for both physical processes as well as organisms living in the water. For our class, specific conductivity is also important when we're electrofishing. The electrofishing backpack we use in class works best in conductivities between 20 and 2000 microsiemens per centimeter. pH is the next measurement that the YSI Sonde will collect, and this measurement is unitless. pH tells us how acidic or basic something is on a scale of 1 to 14, where 1 is the most acidic and 14 is the most basic. Most freshwater life is going to survive in pH around 6.5 to 9, according to the EPA. pH can be affected by geology or soil type, as well as by anthropogenic influences, including mining or destruction of wetlands. Turbidity is the last measurement that the YSI Sonde will record, and it is defined as the cloudiness of water created by suspended particles. These suspended particles can include sediments as well as organisms in the water, like algae and plankton. The units the YSI collects for turbidity are formazan nephelometric units, otherwise known as FNU, or nephelometric turbidity units, which is shortened to NTU. The images on this slide represent two of the Great Lakes, Lake Erie, which is considered to be a more turbid lake, and Lake Superior, which is considered to be a less turbid lake. Lastly, I want to mention another very common way to collect turbidity measurements. This is the Secchi disc or the Secchi tube. The Secchi pattern for freshwater is a high contrast black and white pattern. In the video on the left is showing Catherine using a Secchi disc in a lentic system. Catherine is lowering the Secchi disc into the water column until she can no longer see it. And then you'll notice that she will lean down and pinch the string at the surface of the water or as close to the surface of the water as it is safe to do so. She will bring the Secchi disc back to the shore, and then she will use a measuring stick to measure the depth of the Secchi disc in meters. On the right, AJ and Aaron are demonstrating a Secchi tube, which is made for lotic systems. Aaron fills the Secchi tube with river water and then brings it back to a safe location on shore that has a flat surface. Aaron looks directly down into the tube, which has a Secchi pattern at the bottom, and AJ slowly releases the water. When Aaron sees the Secchi pattern, he tells AJ to stop, and the height of the water within the tube will be measured in meters. There are meter marks on the side of the Secchi tube. These Secchi patterns have been used by scientists for a long period of time. The Secchi disc was invented in 1865 by an Italian priest. They are relatively inexpensive and easy to use. However, some drawbacks to this method are that it depends on how good each person's eyesight is, as well as how shady or sunny it is out when the measurement is taking place. Some tips for making an accurate Secchi reading include not wearing sunglasses unless they're prescription or you otherwise need them to see, and trying to sample in the shade, because you can replicate a shady day when it's sunny out, but you cannot replicate a sunny day when it's shady out.